Well, welcome everyone. This is our Mail Flow 101 webinar. This was brought about as part of an effort from the Mailers Technical Advisory Committee, otherwise known as MTAC. And we had a group session, our focus group, which is led by Tom Glassman from the industry. And this is operations, integration, and performance excellence. On the Postal Service side, Greg White, who's the Executive Director, Operations, Integration, and Performance Excellence. We also have Randy Workman, Senior Director, Product Acceptance and Support. And as I said, the industry co-lead for this is none other than Tom Glassman, Senior Integration Specialist for the Wiley. And they put this together for you. The industry had asked about unlocking some of the mysteries of postal processing. So we put this together for you as information. We will also post this recording and presentation to Postal Pro for those that may have missed it or would like to go back and look over some of the information that was provided. My name is Derek Hatton. I am the liaison from the Postal Service to the Operations, Integration, and Performance Excellence Group here at headquarters. Is Mr. Greg White available? I will turn this over to him.
Yeah, thank you to all our participants. Looks like 405 and climbing, so good audience today. I appreciate the turnout right in the middle of our busiest season of the year. As Derek mentioned, this is something that was brought about in one of our smaller group meetings where we discussed our different product flows, briefed the industry, and some of our top industry partners asked us to bring this back to the larger group, open up the forum. What we will cover today is our letter and flat flows. We will not cover our package flows. So that is something that we will keep internal to USPS. We won't give away all of our secrets, but we will share the market dominant class of mail, the letters and flats, how that goes end to end through our system. What we will do is we will zoom in particularly to the processing environment. So as a letter hits a processing facility, what happens to a letter there, and how does it move to the next step of processing? We are the Chief Performance Office. The office was formed in February of this year. So about 10 months old at this point. A number of people on the call with us. I will go over a few of them. Tom McGoldrick is the Director of Performance Excellence. That is a subset of my department, Operations Integration and Performance Excellence. We have Byron, who is the Manager of Industrial Engineering, and Celine, who will be presenting today, who is an industrial engineer. Essentially how this team is built is we have a number of Lean Six Sigma specialists, industrial engineers, past plant managers that we formed into a core unit that go out, visit different sites, improve performance, and then bring back findings to their partner group, which is National Performance Initiatives, to launch projects that span the country. So that is essentially how the department is built. Is these are the folks that are on site with years of experience, that go in and drive improvement, particularly for letter and flat mail flows. So with that, Pratt, I missed Pratt. How could I have missed Pratt? So Pratt is also on the call with us today. Most of you actually probably do know Pratt from previous experience, part of the industrial engineering and performance excellence teams as well. So with that, I will kick it to Celine, who will do the bulk of the presenting. We'll take any questions you would like at the end. If you would like to, as you think of them, put questions into the chat, we'll monitor the chat and get back to you at the end. So with that, thank you, and over to Celine.
Hello, everyone. I am an industrial engineer. Like Greg said, I'm part of the Performance Excellence team, and I will be going over our mail flows for letters and flats. So to start, as Greg mentioned, we are only going to be going over letters and flats, and we will forego the package process for this meeting today. Before we get started, I wanted to just have a brief description of our primary product. So we have letters, we have flats, and we have packages. As you see, each letter, flat, and package has minimum and maximum dimension requirements. A letter is a printed communication, one sent by an envelope, by mail or messenger. Our flats are oversized piece of first standard or periodicals that exceed at least one of the dimensions of the letter-sized mail. And then as you all probably know, our packages do not fall into the process of mail, which is letter and flats, and it is usually enclosed in a carton or a box. So again, the dimensions are written on that chart shown right next to you if you ever wanted to have a bit more of the specifics of what delegates the mail product flow. Next, before we go into the flows, I did want to speak about our operation definitions, the primary ones, just to kind of help with a bit of the understanding when we do look into the flows. So the verbiage and kind of a little bit of the definitions of what you will be seeing further along in this presentation. So for our originating volume, it is the local community that goes out to the world. So for cancellations, it is where the stamps that you see on letters are validated and marked as a form of our revenue assurance. Then that will hop over to our originating letters. And this is after that stamp is canceled, it will make a region-based sort to launch that letter volume into our network. Moving on, we have the originating packages, which is, this is the first operation that occurs at the origin plant for the packages. And it creates containers by the region to launch into the postal network, similar to the letters. And then with the originating flats is after the revenue is collected at cancellation, similar to letters. This makes the region-based sorts to launch flat volume into the postal network. So that is for our originating volume. For our destinating volume, so this is from the world coming to a destinating community, we have our destinating letters, and this sorts the incoming letters from the originating facilities to the local mailer shipments to the specific locality that the mail is destined to be. The delivery point sequence is a 2-pass letter processing operation, and it creates letter trays that put the letters in the order that the mail carrier would deliver them on their route. So from house to house to house. For destinating packages, we have the process of separating the packages incoming from the network into the containers that are destined for the individual post office. For our destinating bundles, it's the process of sorting the bundles or the flats to the individual post offices. So with that being said, we do have mailers that will receive certain discounts based on the level of sort and separations that align with our destinating processes. And then lastly, for the destinating flats, so very similar, separating the flats incoming from the world into trays destined to individual post offices. All right, so moving on for the facility types. So our flows today will be mostly regarding the RPDCs, the LPCs, but we wanted to show you a little bit more of insight into the other facility types that we do have. So to help with the acronyms a little bit, we have RPDCs, which are the Regional Processing and Distribution Centers. And these are major regional processing center that aggregates, sorts, dispatches mail, packages to and from the network. These plants service very large regions. We have local processing centers, which are the LPCs, and these are smaller than the RPDCs. They're mid-sized processing facility that primarily focuses on sorting the mail that is to the destinating post office. So the 5-digit zones and the local delivery units. Next, the sorting and delivery centers, the SNDCs, are large delivery hubs with package sorting equipment. And these locations have a large number of carriers that deliver volumes to homes, businesses, and also connect a lot smaller delivery units within the region. Lastly, we have delivery units, and these are the local post offices where the mail carriers collect and deliver volume to and from the mailboxes and the blue collection boxes and the businesses. So this is just kind of the definition of the facility types that we do have. And again, we're only going to be really going through the RPDCs and the LPCs when it comes to the flows that we will be seeing today. We did want to bring up one of our videos that were created. It was created about 12 years ago. It's called Systems at Work by the Smithsonian. It demonstrates the process of how mail enters the system and gets delivered to the customer. I did want to note that this is a slightly outdated version. We have had machine changes and improvements and upgrades that have been made. However, this video is a really great example to just show kind of the end-to-end process of mail from the house to the delivery customer. We're not going to show the video today, but we do have the link on the PowerPoint that will be sent out to everyone after this meeting. But I did want to go over just a few snippets of the video to kind of give everyone a nice idea of what they could be seeing and maybe how to relate it back to when you are looking at the process flows, anything that is similar, and you can kind of put a visual to what you're seeing on the flow. So this is a few of our letter processing snippets. You'll see the machines, you can see the letter cancellations, and then how the routes get sorted. Next, this is our flat and bundle processing. So you can see how a bundle kind of gets put through the machine and it gets flowed through to their individual separations. And then next we do have the package processing. So this shows how the packages fall into the machine, get sorted into the bins, and then get delivered. So this video is a really great resource for anyone to just kind of see the start to finish of our processing. All right, so we're going to get into this a little bit more. So now we're going into the letter processing main flow. So we have different product types. So we have SCF DDU letters, retail and delivery unit, BMU mailer drop shipment. And this is from the originating RPDC and PDC. So the first thing that we're going to go through is the DSCF to DDU letters. So first things first is there is a DSCF DDU letters that will go directly to the delivery unit. It does not need to be sorted at the facility because they have already created the separations within the delivery unit's facility zip code area. When it is not going directly to the delivery unit, we have to place it through the tray sorter at the originating RPDC. And at this tray sorter, there's two options. It can either go through automation, so this will make the mail go through the tray sorter. From there, it gets separated to 3-digit and 5-digit. 3-digit will go into that incoming primary sorting that we kind of mentioned and referenced in the second slide. And then the 5-digit will go into the delivery point sequencing. So this is what was mentioned before about getting those letters in the order of the house for the carrier. From then, that will go to the delivery unit, and then the carrier will dispatch it to the customer. Back here is if it doesn't go through the tray sorter, there will be a manual breakdown where they will separate the mail between 3-digit and 5-digit, and then that will continue to follow the flow that I just explained about the incoming, the delivery point sequencing, delivery unit, and then sent to the customer, delivered to the customer. So next, we're going to go over the retail and delivery unit flow. Oh, the BMU mailer dropship flow. I apologize for that. And here we have a CSA agreement, which is local or non-local. So if you go through the CSA agreement and it is non-local mail, this will get dispatched through our air or surface network. Once it gets dispatched, it will arrive to the destinating LPC and PDC. And then, like mentioned before, it will go through the primary sorting, delivery point sequencing, delivery unit, and then dispatch to the customer. If it is local mail, then it will go straight to the destinating LPC. And then again, it will go incoming, delivery point sequencing, delivery unit. Aside from the CSA agreement, we have the letter sorting that will go straight to automation and a tray sorter. The tray sorter will separate it between incoming and outgoing, which is the local and the non-local mail. So looking at the local mail, as mentioned before, the destinating LPC, incoming primary sorting, delivery point sequencing, and then the delivery unit. If it is outgoing, then that will go through our network transportation to dispatch air, surface, arrive to the destinating LPC, and then it will follow the flows that we have seen and then dispatch directly to the customer. Lastly, we have our delivery and retail units flow. And we did this one last because there's just one extra step that they have to do before they continuing the flow that I have just described. So that's the cancellation. That's what we had mentioned before in the primary operations. So if it does need to be canceled, it will go through that letter canceling machine, flow to automation, and then flow through the regular incoming primary sorting, delivery point sequencing, delivery unit. And then if it doesn't need to be canceled, it will still flow through the same mail flow. It's just, it doesn't need to get that stamp canceled on it. So it foregoes that letter cancellation. This is a very broadened overview of our letter flows. Down here, you can see we have the regional processing distribution center, the processing and distribution center, and the local processing center as an appendix. We have the entry points, kind of the flow, and for the end all be all goal, going to the dispatch to the customer. Moving on, we're going to go over the flat and the bundle flow. So we have similar on the originating product types. So we have the DSCF DDU marketing flats, retail and delivery unit, BMU, mailer, and drop OMX. So starting off with the DSCF DDU marketing flats, as shown before, we have the ones that go directly to the delivery unit and the SNDC right here. And then we also have some that will go directly to the incoming flat primary sorting to then get carry routed, to then go to the delivery unit and then get dispatched to the customer. So depending on how the mail comes in, there's two flows that it can go to. Next, we have the retail and delivery unit. So this will go to flat sorting, separates again through the local and the non-local mail, which is incoming and outgoing. We have for the incoming mail, it will go through the destinating LPC, PNDC, and then follow that flow again through the incoming, the carrier route, delivery unit, or SNDC, and then dispatch to the customer. If it is non-local mail, which is outgoing, through the network transportation, dispatch air or surface, and then once it gets to the destinating LPC and PNDC, then it will go and continue through the incoming, carrier out, delivery unit, dispatch to the customer. So very similar flow, but for different product types, there are different operations that must be done, but through and through, it's a very similar flow. Lastly, for the BMU mailer OMX, if it's a bundle, we have another flow that I will be showing you on the next slide that we can go into. But for now, if it's not a bundle, it will go through the flat sorting, and then it will continue on with the similar flow with the local, non-local, primary sorting, carrier route, delivery unit, and then dispatch to the customer. So this is the basic flat and bundle flow. And as you can see down on the bottom right, we have the acronyms and what they mean. And this is the general flow. So now from this right here for a bundle continued on the next flow, we will move on. All right. So we have our different product types. So we have direct bundles, carrier route, 5-digit, BMU mailer drop OMX, and 3-digit. So to start, we're going to go with our direct bundles carrier route. So this will go to the destinating LPC and PNDC for the incoming bundle or primary sorting, or it can go directly to the delivery unit or SNDC. From there, it will get dispatched to the customer. Next, for the 5-digit, it can go directly to the carrier route. From the carrier route, it will, at the destinating LPC and PNDC, it will go to the delivery unit, and then from there, it will get dispatched to the customer. For the BMU, mailer drop, and OMX, we have the bundle processing for the BMU and the 3-digit at the originating. There are two options. So if it goes to automation or if it goes to manual. If it goes to a manual breakdown, it will go directly to the carrier route. For bundle processing, we have automation, and then that will then follow the local mail for incoming or the non-local mail for outgoing. Again, for the non-local, it will go through our network transportation, go dispatch air, surface, and then once it gets to that destinating LPC and PNDC, it will go through the incoming carrier route delivery unit. And then for the local mail incoming, as kind of explained before, it will go through the incoming primary carrier route delivery unit and dispatch to the customer. So although we have different product types for our letters, for our flats, and for our bundles, and at the originating PNDC, at the end of the day, once the initial breakdowns are done, they will usually follow the primary carrier route delivery unit or the DPS to the delivery unit to get dispatched to the customer. So different product types will always lead to the end result of getting delivered to our customer. So I wanted to go over a few talking points of contact. And here we have any inquiries that you guys have and any questions, you can reach out to Danielle Young, Derek Haddon, and Adasia Johnson, and they will be able to kind of answer any questions you need, or if it needs to be escalated to a different group, they will, direct any emails that need to be directed to the right location. So if anyone has any questions, please reach out to these very intelligent folks. And that is what I have. So we can go into our questions.
Yeah, Celine, if we go back to the beginning, I can try to give you, based on your level of comfort with these flows, what would be the best resource for you. So if you go all the way back to the front in the Systems at Work video. So if you thought the flow charts, right, and like the Visio diagram and PowerPoint were too detailed or too complex for your current understanding of the postal network, this is a great video to look at. If you just go online, type in USPS Systems at Work, it's about a decade old, the video, but we made it alongside the Smithsonian. It is still very relevant for most product lines, and you can see a piece traveling from a mailbox through our operations, ultimately to another customer's mailbox. So I think that's about a 10-minute video. It's a good introductory lesson of the Postal Service, our operations, and an inside look at our facilities. So I'd say that's probably the best starting point. If you go to facility types, Celine, we have another number of questions on the different facility types that we have. So if you look at the historic processing environment of the Postal Service, we were typically built around 5 typical facility types. The first being our NDCs. So they are network distribution centers. There were 21 in the country. They were built around 1970, and they connected kind of the country on cross-country flows. The second were processing and distribution centers. Those were referenced in some of the flow charts as we move forward. 200 plus of those placed around the country, typically in local environments doing local processing and originating processing. Then we had 2 different types of surface network type facilities. The first were terminal handling services, which is where our air volume would go. The second were our surface, our STCs, our surface transfer centers, where our ground volume would go. And then the fifth were our annexes. We had about 90 annexes across the country. So parcel support annexes, flat support annexes, just annexes that were stood up to make more space within our processing environment. The future network and the network that we have been building is comprised of these main facility types right here on the screen today. Regional processing and distribution centers, local processing centers, and then on the delivery front, sorting and delivery centers and our typical delivery units. For those that ask questions on the NDCs and the PNDCs, those are being converted in the vast majority of cases to regional processing and distribution centers and local processing centers. So that is like the naming convention that we are undertaking as we go through facility upgrades, layout changes, zip code remappings, things of that nature. So the language can be used interchangeably, and I think that was the majority of the question, Celine, as we get into more of the details, was what's the difference between like an NDC and an RPDC or PNDC and an LPC? It is the conversion of those facilities to these new facility types, regional processing and distribution centers and local processing centers. And the intent there is to modernize and standardize, right? So RPDCs do the same type of work, LPCs do the same type of work, versus having 5 different facility types and everyone doing different types of work. So that's the intention there, but a number of good questions related to facility types. And then third, as we go into these flow charts, a couple more questions on will this be available online? Yes, it will be. And if you click forward, Celine, to the flow charts, that is where you see most of the detail that Celine covered. So as we worked with some of our industry groups, our largest mail customers, letters and flat customers, this is essentially the ask that came from our industry partners, was to get into more detail on how a piece traverses a plant or a processing location. And that is the detail that you see on these charts. So I'd say based on your level of experience or comfort, maybe starting with the systems at work video and then taking a look at the flow chart when you're comfortable to get into more detail. Are service standards on timelines of mail travel from facility to facility available that we can use to guide in-home delivery properly? Yes. So we do have USPS service standards posted. If you look up USPS service standards or USPS transit time maps, anything like that will bring you to a USPS.com service standards page. On that page, you can select your entry location as well as your service. So whether it's first class mail, marketing mail, periodicals, and you can look up from your origin to your destination what your service standard will be. So that is available. USPS transit time maps or USPS service standards. Those will both get you to USPS.com /service standards, where you will be able to see the service standard of your product. Are the graphics available in other languages? Not at this time. This is what we were able to produce for today. Bundles are still a key part of our network. We still process a good amount of bundles across the organization. DNDC bundles, for the most, I believe, are no longer, but we do have DSCF bundles as well as originating mixed bundles. So bundles, there was a question, aren't bundles eliminated? No, bundles are not eliminated. They are still a piece of our network. What mail uses air? That depends on the lane. It depends on what air capacity you have available, the service standard of the product, and anything that we may be evaluating in the current market. So for example, maybe we have a weather issue at origin and we want to move volume to the air, expedite the volume through the network. That may be an option. And then others are more stable lanes where we say this is an air lane, this is a ground lane. It is typically determined based on our air capacity and the service standard. There's a Nixie question that was not answered. Does anyone have that question? And does anyone want to take a shot at answering that question?
We have a process called PARS, so mail forwarding. So if a mail piece has a forwarding order on file, we do have the ability to intercept that live. It depends on the family individual move rules, and the machine has to have a high confidence level that it's intercepting the right piece. Now, as far as the undeliverable as address mail, most of that mail, depending on the ancillary endorsement and our return to sender rules, that does have to go to the carrier or to the carrier of the how the mail is addressed, and then that carrier will then identify that as an undeliverable as address piece. They will, on the letters, they put it by a separator card for a reason code, and then that is moved back to the plant and it gets in the PARS process that way. So the return to sender mail has to hit the carrier, then go back. But if it's just a regular move order, we can't intercept that live. Did that answer the question?
A couple of questions related to operation codes. So we did do that in a smaller briefing. We can explore adding those back. We had removed it from this briefing because of the complexity of the flowcharts already. And we did call it Mail 101 webinar. We can explore adding those back in or presenting those to a smaller group that would like more detail related to operation numbers for those that specifically look up their volumes in informed visibility or PTR. Will the recording be available? Yes. Oh, Celine, maybe you take this one again. Re-explain a mixed pallet versus a 5-digit pallet and how that is processed through the network.
Okay, so depending on if it's 5-digit or mixed, the 5-digit is for letters. For instance, it will forego. So for example, let me start over. A mixed tray. So when it goes, a mixed pallet, when it goes to a tray sorter, it will get separated between like a 3-digit or 5-digit. And between those, they have different holdouts on the tray sorter that will then separate it for whether it's going, if it's outgoing, it will go directly to the next facility. Or if it's local from there, it will follow the downstream operation, if that makes sense, versus like a 5-digit, it will forego that first breakdown and then it will go to the site's downflow operations. I'm not sure if that was too clear, but if it wasn't, please ask the question again and I will try to make it easier to understand.
And I think you show some of that here, right? So let's use that flowchart example on the left-hand side, bottom left, BMEU mail. All right, let's use the originating side. Just take them through with the arrows again. I think you did a nice job there. The main difference of, right, a DSCF can go towards an incoming sort versus a mixed 5-digit still is on the originating side. It needs additional handles in the USPS network. So I think that is kind of a summary of that.
Right. So there's two separate flows that it can follow as far as like the DSCF. And then same with the mailer drop shipment. When it goes through the trace sorter, it will separate the type of flow that it needs to. So again, if it's local, it'll stay within that same site. However, if it's non-local, it will go through transportation, whether it's air or surface, to that destinating site. And then from there, they will work on the downflow operations. So it kind of depends on what type of pallet it is.
Oh, and a good clarifying question here. So it's making more sense to me now. So the DSCF is a bit confusing because it also refers to a postage rate. The reference here is for destinating volume. So it enters into a PNDC or an LPC as a drop ship to a destination. So it is local mail to the 3 digits serviced by that locale, that LPC or that PNDC. It is not originating mail. So that's the attempt to be the distinction there. It is DSCF is entered for a given locale or a given region. Machinable mail versus automation mail, we use that interchangeably. So automation is what we use to reference our equipment sets. So machinable mail does go on our automation or our letter sorting equipment. So that's a postal kind of lingo. We use automation and machinable interchangeably. A bunch of questions on like pricing and stuff like that. That would not be this group. So we won't answer most of these pricing questions. That does not relate to us or our team regarding mail flow. Derek, there are a ton of questions on where this will be posted.
Yeah, so this will be posted on Postal Pro, the slides and recording. I did answer a couple of them as I was going through them, so we don't have to ask that question any further. There was a question about scanning at the DDU for DDU drops. I think you answered this, but is the Postal Service changing the original plans for the number of RPDCs, i.e. 60, in new facilities in lieu of doing modification of existing facilities?
No changes to the plan there. It's always been roughly 60. Sometimes it might be 61, 59, 56, 64. It's always been roughly 60 regional processing and distribution centers. How we allocate our capital may change, which may be where the question is going, but that would not be our team or probably appropriate to answer on this webinar about mail flow.
Are there additional steps certified mail follows, or is it a normal letter process?
So our machines do have the ability to detect certified mail, and based on the sort plan, we could flow that differently, but typically certified mail would flow in with the DPS product, and then the carrier would have their scanners, and then we can capture that receipt or refusal at the time of delivery when the carrier delivers that certified mail.
This would be a good session at MPF where you could expand on these flows and details.
That is a good idea. We can certainly look into that. That may help. We can bring different levels of depth, like kind of a 101, 201, 301 type class view. So we can explore that idea. I appreciate that idea. Does marketing mail sent to DSCF walk sequence pre-sort follow the same piece, scan, flow, primary, sort, and DPS?
Yeah, so our marketing mail, if it is palletized, if it's labeled according to the LO12 labeling list, then it will go straight to the DPS operation. Even though it's walk sequence, we still integrate that in with our DPS product because the carriers are limited on how many trays they can carry. So walk sequence marketing mail letters will flow to that DPS operation, and you should most of that should also see a DPS scan.
So what I may ask then is we will try to capture any of the questions in the chat, any of them that we can answer related to mail flow specifically. We'll work through Derek to get answers if you have your name listed next to your chat. We will provide clarity on where in Postal Pro this will be linked. but I think we have answered, looks like 38 questions so far. So it sounds like that may be a good place to call it, because the questions seem to be going out of scope now. I think we can end it there, and we'll take any other questions offline. We did our best to hit most of these in the chat.
Yeah, Greg, we'll communicate out once the presentation, the recording is available and posted on Postal Pro. We'll get some messaging out.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, I do thank you. It looked like over 500 people joined this. We will take feedback as well. Too complicated, too busy, too confusing, or very nice. Continue doing these. Either way, we'll take any feedback that you have. Please send those along to Derek. We'll get the recording up. We'll answer some of those questions. And I think that is all we have. So again, appreciate the time. I know December 16th is a busy day for most. So thank you all for joining. Dr. Colin, I'll turn it to you for any closing comments. And then we will wrap this up.
All right. Thank you, Greg. And first of all, let me just thank the industry for your partnership, working with us throughout peak. You will enjoy the systems at work when you see it. It's a very good detailed travel of the letter, flat, and package from the inception of the box or the customer all the way through to delivery. So this is a very good video. Hopefully you enjoy it. And thank you for your candid feedback as well as your participation from an industry standpoint. And, thank you very much. Talk to you next time. Thank you.